pretty interesting article here. So one of the leaders of the Proud Boys, at least in the past, was a snitch, or provided evidence to the government to get a reduced sentence. Exclusive. Proud Boys leader is prolific informer for law enforcement, or snitch. I mean, let's call it like it is. Enrique Tarrio, the leader of the Proud Boys extremist group, has a past as an informer, as a snitch for federal and local law enforcement, repeatedly working undercover for investigators after he was arrested in 2012, according to a former prosecutor and a transcript of a 2014 federal court proceeding obtained by Reuters. All right, let's see what this says.
So the Proud Boys are a group. They're a
white supremacist group.
Most people say a male chauvinist group.
I would say white
Set up in
supremacist.
2016. They call themselves Western chauvinists. They're certainly male dominated. They back then and now they seem to want to contest what they perceive as the sort of constraints of political correctness and so forth, and doctrinaire political correctness, and they want to tweak people. Enrique Tarrio stepped in as their leader in 2018 when they voted him in, and he's been the sort of real face of it since then. We reported on an old court transcript from 2014 that had never been reported on before, where a federal prosecutor,
White Claw, Jinx, White Claw. Jesus.
Discuss ways in which Enrique Tarrio at the time had helped law enforcement. They said it helped local law enforcement and federal law enforcement. They said it
Snitching all over.
Evidently after he'd been arrested on
Stitching on everybody.
Charge in 2012. So it raised a lot of questions. It talked about
And even snitching on fucking marijuana grows. What a fucker.
In the transcript, his lawyer calls him a prolific cooperator with law enforcement, and we thought that was quite interesting, given what's going on now. Many people have seen him leading these rallies and these confrontations. That the Proud Boys sometimes have with what they perceive, what they believe to be Antifa, which is the group they've often
AKA the people against fascism. So these are fascist supporters.
As we report, he confessed publicly on social media. He said he burned this BLM banner, and there's videotape of that happening.
What a fucking dick.
On social media, when he arrived in D.C. on January 4th, he was quickly arrested by the D.C. police, and they charged him with that, which is a misdemeanor, and they also charged him with possession of two sort of high-capacity gun magazines, which are illegal in Washington, D.C. They ban magazines that hold more than 10 rounds each, and these had 30 rounds.
Jeez, 30-round clip.
He's facing charges right now, so but they're in D.C. What happened was, as soon as he went to court, the judge said part of his his release package is he had to leave D.C. and go back to Florida, and he can't come back here until he has to deal with a court appearance with his lawyer.
I mean, it's not surprising that somebody within the Proud Boys is a government informant, at least was in the past. In the Miami hearing, federal prosecutor, a Federal Bureau of Investigations agent, FBI, and Tarrio's own lawyer described his undercover work and said he had helped authorities prosecute more than a dozen people in various cases involving drugs, gambling, and human smuggling. But he's denying it. God, just admit you were a fucking snitch. Just say I made some mistakes back then. I was a snitch to get time off my sentence. But he's not. He's just doubling down on denying it. Tarrio, in an interview with Reuters Tuesday, denied working undercover or cooperating in cases against others. I don't know any of this, he said when asked about the transcript. I don't recall any of it. Jesus. the record's pretty clear. He was definitely a government informant. They said he was prolific, for God's sakes, but he doesn't recall. Funny how that works. Law enforcement officials and the court transcript contradict Tarrio's denial. Tarrio? In a statement to Reuters, former federal prosecutor in Tarrio's case, Vanessa Singh Johannes confirmed that, quote, he cooperated with the local and federal law enforcement to aid in the prosecution of those running other separate criminal enterprises ranging from running marijuana grow houses in Miami to operating pharmaceutical fraud schemes. I mean, what a piece of shit. Tarrio, 36, is a high-profile figure who organizes and leads the right-wing fascist, white supremacist Proud Boys in their confrontation with those believed to be Antifa, short for anti-fascism. So the Proud Boys, highly white supremacist, highly misogynist, highly racist, highly fascist. The Proud Boys were involved in the deadly insurrection at the Capitol on January 6th. Records uncovered by Reuters are startling because they show that a leader of a far-right group now under intense scrutiny by law enforcement was previously an active collaborator with criminal investigators. Well, it talks about him being arrested on the weapons and burning that sign or flag. The transcript from 2014 shines a new light on Tarrio's past connections to law enforcement. During the hearing, the prosecutor and Tarrio's defense attorney asked the judge to reduce the prison sentence of Tarrio and two co-defendants. They had pleaded guilty in a fraud case related to relabeling and sale of stolen diabetes test kits. Jesus. The prosecutor said Tarrio's information led to the prosecution of 13 people on federal charges in two separate cases, and it helped local authorities investigate and get, again, they described him as a prolific informer, a prolific snitch, to get his prison sentence reduced. I mean, you can't do the time, don't do the crime. I mean, he obviously wasn't able to. He was willing to throw everybody and anybody under the bus to get that reduced sentence. Wouldn't expect anything else from a Proud Boy. Tarrio's then lawyer, Jeffrey Filer, said in a court that his client had worked undercover in numerous investigations, one involving the sale of anabolic steroids, another regarding wholesale prescription narcotics, and a third targeting human smuggling. He said Tarrio helped police uncover 3 marijuana grow houses and was a prolific cooperator. That was from his attorney. In the smuggling case, Tarrio, at his own risk, in an undercover role, met and negotiated to pay $11,000 to members of that ring to bring in fictitious family members of his from another country, the lawyer said in court. So this motherfucker, he couldn't do the time snitched on 13 other people. I mean, what a trash. Wouldn't expect anything else from, a fascist supporter, white supremacist. In an interview, Filer said he did not recall details about the case, but added, the information I provided to the court was based on information provided to me by law enforcement and the prosecutor. An FBI agent in the hearing called Tarrio a key component in local police investigations involving marijuana, cocaine, and MDMA or ecstasy. The Miami FBI office declined comment. There is no evidence Tarrio has cooperated with authorities since then. In interviews with Reuters, however, he said that before rallies in various cities, he would let police departments know of the Proud Boys' plans. It is unclear if this was actually the case. He stopped this coordination after December 12th because of the D.C. police had cracked down on the group. There you go. He's at least acknowledging his sentence was reduced, but he's not saying it was for snitching. Tarrio on Tuesday acknowledged his fraud sentence was reduced from 30 months to 16 months, but insisted that leniency was provided only because he and his co-defendants helped investigators clear up questions about, I'm sure they took almost half of your sentence away because you helped clear up questions about your case. What a fucker. I mean, how can any of his white supremacist, fascist, Proud Boy buddies trust him after that? I mean, the dude's a fucking narc. He's a snitch. The comment contrast with statements made in court by the prosecutor's lawyer and the FBI. The judge in the case, Joan A. Leonard, said Tarrio provided substantial assistance in the investigation and prosecution of other persons involved in criminal. Look, there's many sources here saying that he was a snitch, that he was a prolific informer, and he's saying no, that's not true. That's not true. They took the time off because I helped clear up questions about my case. Jesus Christ. Tarrio, based in Miami, became the national chairman of the group in 2018. Former prosecutor Johannes said she was surprised that the defendant she prosecuted for fraud is now a key player in the violent movement that sought to halt the certification of Joe Biden. I knew that he was a fraudster, but I had no reason to know that he was also a domestic terrorist. Okay, and then, so here's the Southern Poverty Law Center talking about, oh, that's weird. All right, that audio is weird. So I'm going to end the group here, but I'll link this down below. Peace. Much love. Like the video if you like the damn video. Subscribe for more content. Bye.